Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ULTV Study Abroad 101. I'm Shefali Shrivastava, Marketing and Communication Manager at University Living. Australia's university encourages innovation, creativity, and independent thinking. A notable example of this is Deakin University. Deakin is one of the Australia's most progressive university. And to discuss this further, we have Priyanka Singh, Associate Director, with us from Deakin University. Hi, Priyanka.
Hi, Shefali.
Thank you so much for joining us. So there's a lot more discussion about Australia and Deakin. And welcome, Priyanka, again. To know a little bit about Priyanka, Priyanka is an education specialist with over 17 years of experience, and she has been instrumental in creating footprints of Deakin University and Australian higher education in the subcontinent. Thank you, Priyanka, so much for joining us. And, thank you again. I'm giving you thank you in advance for sharing all the great insights that you're going to share with our students.
Thank you, Shefali. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And now I'm going to start with the first question. I'm not going to deviate further anywhere. And I know this question have been asked multiple times, and you might be answering this question on a daily basis, but sorry for this. Compared to other study abroad destination, what makes Australia unique? I know kangaroos, koalas, and coffee are three of the points, but apart from that, what makes Australia unique?
No worries, Shefali. I think this has now become a favorite question of mine. So you see, Australia not just meets, but exceeds expectation when it comes to choosing the right destination for overseas education. Now, if you look at the trends, Australia is consistently ranked the third most popular destination for international students in the English-speaking world. Now, many students are choosing Australia because of its receptiveness, excellent quality of education, and high standard of living. Now, there are multiple factors that make Australia a unique destination. Now, 4 of Australian cities, you see they feature in top 10 most livable cities in the world, with Melbourne being one of them. Australia is truly multicultural. Now, in fact, 47% of the Australians were born overseas. Now, this makes the country a very cosmopolitan, vibrant, very, very diverse country with a welcoming community. Now, all of this makes it easy for international students, especially Indian students, to get comfortable in this new environment. It also has one of the best higher education systems. You'll be surprised to know that it has all its universities ranked in top 500 worldwide, now, which is a significant thing. Its economy is very resilient and stable. It has had over 25 years of uninterrupted economic growth. It is ranked number 3 in the world for economic freedom. Whereas, you see UK is ranked number 20th and Canada is ranked number 9th and, US is ranked number 7th. Now, international students' rights. This is, again, a very important aspect. And in case of Australia, it is very, very well protected through the ESOS Act, which is the Education Services for Overseas Education Act. And it is designed to secure and safeguard international students' interests. The other factor, I think is very, very crucial would be the part-time work opportunity and the full, the post-study work rights. So coming on to part-time, students in Australia, while they are studying, they get to work part-time. And if you also compare the wage rate, you will see that it's higher as compared to the other destinations that are attractive to students. Talking about the post-study work rights, Australia recently announced an additional year of post-study work rights for students studying postgraduate courses. So now they will be eligible for 3 years after they complete their studies. And in case of undergraduate degrees, students will be eligible for 2 years after completing their studies. Now, this again becomes very, very attractive for students because it ensures, after they have completed their study, they gain some international work experience. And it also means an opportunity for them to get some return on their investment. Talking about government's initiatives, so you will see that Australian government, you would have, I'm sure you would have picked up from the news and all, it has invested Australian dollar 300 million in scholarships for international students. And not just government, even Australian universities are giving generous scholarships to students, who are deserving. And this makes it very, very affordable for students to consider Australia, Shefali.
Right. Wow. There's a lot of information to grasp, and I'm giving you a heads up. I'm going to steal a lot of, numbers from your answer. But yeah, that's a lot of pros for Australia. And now I can understand that why Australia keeps on coming up in like top 5 countries for the student, study abroad destination.
Yeah,
Way to go for Australia.
Feel free to pick up relevant points, Shefali.
I will definitely.
Just one more thing I would like to mention here, I think, which is really important. Even during the pandemic phase, when many international students were worried about their job loss and financial instability, many Australian universities came forward, committing more than 110 million Australian dollars towards students' hardship support, right? Deakin alone had contributed over Australian dollar 25 million and did a lot to support students, including their mental health. So these are some of the things that become very, very important and goes a long way for students to consider a destination that really cares for them.
Right. In fact, I was about to mention the COVID aspect, because I remember when we had our first webinar in Australian series, and at that moment of time, you guys were doing tremendous amount of work related to mental well-being, health and all that. And of course, for COVID also, I believe Australian government did a lot to take all the measures so that nobody suffers during that time alone. So yeah,
absolutely, Shefali. And let me also share with you that, when we talk to prospective students now, we often get to hear that, they were very, very happy with the kind of support that came along. Most of these students also have their siblings or they have their cousins studying there. So they come out with these little stories, and it's so, it's so it's so heartwarming to listen to such stories, and you feel so satisfied that your university was able to help students, the government was able to help students. So that this actually gives you a lot of confidence that you are on the right side of the sector.
Right, definitely. I believe it's perfectly true, because if students are coming with a positive feedback, that's something which is more, that means that you're doing something right. So yes. Right now you mentioned a lot of points in your previous answer, that what factors to consider when you're studying abroad, if I talk about Australia, say. But now, in a neutral way, what are the different factors one should consider while studying abroad? Not just Australia, any country, to say.
Well, I think there are multiple factors, and priorities change with every student and the situation they are into. However, there are few common factors that every prospective international student considers before choosing the destination and university. Now, first of all, it is very important to identify the study area and the specialization that you're looking for, right? And then you look at the destination that you think will provide you the best of the opportunities in terms of infrastructure, facilities, and employability related to that field. Now, you consider countries and universities which are very well known for the relevant study area and has considerable good ranking. It must have key accreditations, which are very, very critical for your career. So please do these search before you narrow down on your study area and the country and the education provider for yourself. Now, secondly, it is the cost that you consider while finalizing the university or the country. Now, this is very critical consideration, as tuition fee and living expenses take large chunk of your budget. So here I would advise that you must look for scholarships. So talking about Australia, many Australian universities, as I've mentioned before also, they're giving generous scholarships. Australian government is also giving destination scholarship. So please talk to your counselor, go to the websites and check, a relevant scholarship for you. Then, the other thing to consider would be that when you're moving to another country, it involves a cultural shift and intercultural communication, right? So you're going into a new environment. So before choosing a university abroad, I would advise that check how well you can adjust to the country, how diverse in terms of culture, in terms of its culture, that country is, right? How welcoming that country is for international students. So these are some of the things that you check. And also talking about yourself, you really have to be very, very sure that you will be able to adjust to the new environment. And sometimes it would also mean changing your habits, like your food habits. You must consider whether you're adaptive enough to the new culture. You have to go with an open mind. And of course, the degree to which you can adapt is also very, very important. Otherwise, you will end up struggling. So do consider these factors very, very carefully. And I think last but not the least will be the safety aspect for me. You would want to access a range of opportunities and travel and study, without putting yourself at risk or having to be very, very overly cautious. Moreover, your parents will be much happier and comfortable in letting you go if they know the city you're moving has a low crime rates and is student friendly and has a good reputation. So I think these would be my key factors, to answer your question.
Right, and very well said. Like students usually what do? They prefer university, they take courses, and they think only everything revolves around these two. It does at some extent, but you need to look at the bigger picture. You're going to stay over there for work, you're going to do part-time jobs, you're going to travel, you're going to do party, you're going to do a lot of things. And then there are multiple factors that you need to consider. You mentioned very well that, it's very small point. You need to go with an open mind. You need to, change few habit of yours. Over here, we are habituated of getting everything done either by our parents or we have help. But over there, you don't have anybody else to do it for you. You have to do it yourself.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
there's a lot of things that students have to juggle with. Here they are in comfort of their homes and they're living with their families. They have the luxury of people doing things for them, but when they go there is when they get a shock. So you have to be really, really prepared for this journey. And going with an open mind is the first step that you take towards your preparedness.
True. True. I remember you mentioned earlier in our conversation on previous than this, that students mostly go for, if I talk about accommodation, they are like, okay, I just want to live with this particular nationality only, or that, but you're going over there for an experience, for learning something new. Stay open and then you'll be able to grasp more information and experience. Correct.
Absolutely. See, one of the important things about overseas education is that you're going all the way there to experience a multicultural environment, right? So when you start setting limitations for yourself, then that means you're depriving yourself, of that opportunity that would have made you a well-rounded person, I would say. So it's very, very important that you have open mind and you also make an effort to connect with the community. Networking is one of the most important aspects that every aspirant must understand, that if you're going there, you will have to take the first opportunity to talk to people, to connect with your peer members, connect with your faculty, connect with the larger community there, and just be at the right place at the right time.
Right. Now, we have already discussed this. Now I'll come to the main part of the question. We have discussed a lot about Australia and the factors. Now we'll come to Deakin University. Now, Deakin ranks highly both nationally and internationally. What makes Deakin University unique? What is different over there than others?
the two most important factors would be, for the popularity of the university, would be the student satisfaction rating and the career services, where we are number one in Australia. So the student satisfaction, like I said, that we measure our success by the success of our students. So everything which is done at the university, the students' interest is always kept at the heart of all our decision making, right? Whatever is relevant to the students, we are very, very responsive. We do that, right? When they are with us while studying, we take care of them. We make sure that they get all the required support in terms of academic, in terms of getting part-time jobs, in terms of their well-being. Everything is being looked after, right? Talking about employability services. Now, Deakin is one of the first university that started a dedicated vertical to look after the employability services for our students, especially international students, because we all know that it's not just technical skills, but it's also the soft skills that get you a job, right? So we do a lot to make sure that students, while they are studying at Deakin, they're also being prepared in terms of their soft skill for the workforce, right? So these two things, I think, make us the most popular university nationally as well as internationally.
Right. And in fact, while I was listening to you, like you measure your success with the success of your student, it just made me realize that we are all the same, page. We also do the same thing. We both are working towards a better experience for students who are traveling abroad. Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Now we have discussed why Deakin, but of course, there are multiple factors to consider how to get enrolled in university. So what are the requirements to get enrolled over there? What is the entrance exam rate? What is the acceptance rate? What kind of academic, requirements are there to get enrolled?
So typically, unlike the US universities, you don't need a SAT, GRE, or a GMAT score to get into an Australian university, right? The entry requirements are solely based on academic grades and English proficiency. Talking about Deakin, so there are 3 stages of application process. The first stage is that you meet the academic eligibility. And here, you have to have 70% and above in standard 12th for undergraduate courses at Deakin, and 60% and above in your undergraduate studies for postgraduate courses at Deakin. Now, stage 2 is about English proficiency level. So every student who is interested to get into Deakin must produce an evidence of their English proficiency levels. And they can do this through taking IELTS, PTE, or TOEFL English proficiency exams, right? And if you're taking IELTS, then you have to have 6, not less than 6, for undergraduate courses at Deakin. And if you're interested in postgraduate courses, then you must have an overall score of 6.5, not less than 6 in IELTS. PT, we require at the UG level, we require 52 overall with 50 in individual bands. And for PG courses, we require 58 overall with 50 in individual bands. Talking about TOEFL, we require for UG courses an overall of 69 with 21 in writing. And for PG courses, we require overall of 79 and with 21 in writing. Deakin also has its own English proficiency test that students can take, and this is free, and they can take this test from the comfort of their homes. So if you're interested in taking Deakin English proficiency test, then you will have to speak to one of my team members at the Deakin South Asia office based in Delhi, and they will be able to guide you.
Great.
The third stage, Shafali, is the interview stage. So once you have met the academic and English proficiency eligibility, then you have to appear for an interview, and mostly it is done virtual or telephonically. And this interview is not to scare students, but this is just to know you better and understand your career goals, interests, activities that you've undertaken, and your reasons to choose this, reasons to choose a particular stream, and of course also how you're going to manage financially during your stay in Australia. So these are some of the things that we touch upon when we do our interview. And this basically is done to know the student better. And if we find students not knowing certain aspects or about the course, or about how is it going to be in Australia, how is it going to be at the university, so if there is any aspect which is missing in terms of information, then the interviewer immediately provides students with the relevant information so that they can make an informed decision.
Right, right. Great. It's good to hear that you don't scare people with the interview part. But if I think from a student perspective, I still remember my days. If I used to get a call from a university, I was like, okay, I'm not sure what they're going to ask. So yeah, it's always in a good shell. But yeah, so you mentioned pretty well that you need these particular, bands for entrance exam, and you have your own entrance exam test. So that's pretty good, actually. Great. Now coming to the next question. I know it's going to be difficult because you already mentioned earlier in one of our conversations, you have 400 courses at Deakin University. Now, I'm going to give you a tough task to select few of the top courses which are available, and also share some light on the short-term basis courses which are available at the university.
Sure. So Deakin University, Shefali, has 4 faculties, and we offer, as you mentioned, 400 plus courses at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. So in Faculty of Science, Engineering and Built Environment, some of the popular courses and new age programs that are offered are civil, mechanical, software, mechatronics, environmental and electrical engineering. And then we have computer science, software engineering, information technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, cybersecurity, and Internet of Things. These are all the new age programs, that are offered under this faculty. So moving on to Faculty of Business and Law, Shefali, here I would like to mention that our business school is AA CSB and Equus accredited, which makes it a double crowned business school. And this means that we are in top 5% of business schools in the world. And under this faculty, the popular programs include business analytics, sports management. In fact, our sports management is #1 in Australia and ranked #3 in the world. And also our sports and exercise science program is ranked #1 in the world. Besides these, we have business related programs. Then we have commerce, finance, tech, accounting and information systems. And we also have law and legal studies under this faculty, which is very, very popular amongst Indian students as well. Moving on to Faculty of Arts and Education, here the popular programs are communication, creative arts, international relations, and psychology, to name a few. Faculty of Health, here the popular programs would be health sciences, public health, health promotion, health and human services management, health economics, and psychological science. So all these courses are also available on cloud, and they also are available as stackable. So you could start with a grad cert and leading to a master's program. So there are short-term courses also that you can take, and that can lead to a full-fledged master's degree over a period of time.
Right, right. And are there any specific requirements for these courses, especially for short-term courses? Any exclusive requirement, maybe for enrolling themselves into these, or just basic, like you mentioned in the previous answer?
Yeah, so the requirement would be similar to the admissions requirement at Deakin. So the entry criteria will be very, very similar, except for few programs that would require, at least a minimum of 2 to 3 years of professional experience. Otherwise, more or less, all our programs are, they require short-term programs. They require same eligibility criteria as, as the coursework.
Great. Now, coming back to one of your previous answers, you mentioned scholarship. So what kind of scholarships are available at Deakin University, and is there any exclusive course-related scholarship?
Well, Shefali, we don't offer course-specific scholarship. In fact, our scholarships are, the program that we have, it's offered across all courses, across all faculties, right? And they are basically divided into 4 categories. So students who are interested in coming for a shorter duration, which is, study abroad, where they want to come and spend a semester with us. There we are offering 50% scholarship, 50% tuition fee waiver. Then we have 20% tuition fee waiver. That scholarship requires, for undergraduate courses, it requires, year 12th score of 70, between 70 to 79.9. And for PG courses, you must score, in your undergraduate studies, you must score between 60 to 69.9%. The 25% scholarship requires 80% and above in standard 12th for undergraduate courses at Deakin. And for PG, we require 70 and above. Now, besides these, we have 400% Vice Chancellor scholarships as well. And we offer this in association with our media partner Times Now. And Shefali, we go in for a nationwide search for this scholarship. And it's very, very competitive. You can well imagine we receive about 600, 700 applications every year. And then students are placed in the merit pool. For students to be able to get nominated, they need to have minimum 85% in their standard 12th and 80% and above in their undergraduate studies. Now, this is for the nomination. Now, along with this, we also require a very, very strong co-curricular achievement. So we are just not looking for students who are academically bright, but also who have very, very strong co-curricular achievements, right? And there are multiple rounds of interviews, and then we shortlist the final 8. And then we invite the top 8 at the Times Now studio based in Delhi. And then there we do a panel interview to select the top 4 for our Vice Chancellor meritorious scholarship. So these are some of our scholarship offerings, so to say.
Right. And I can imagine the kind of competition, because it's 100% scholarship and you're searching pan-India. And I believe there are many people who are available, who are doing their best. We keep on getting these many students, got this person and all. But yeah, that's great. So you mentioned co-curricular activities. What kind of activities you guys look into?
So we look for achievements like, have you been your school captain? What are the extras that you have done? Have you done any kind of social service, that had an impact on the society? If you've done, if you've taken any sport at national or international level, if you have any, any leadership experience, like, a lot of students, have exposure, they become members of Model United Nations, where they have a lot of debating experiences. So other than the academic is what we look for when we are looking at co-curricular achievement. In fact, just to add to what I mentioned previously, 40% of the weightage is given to the academic achievement, and 60% of the weightage is given to towards the co-curricular achievement. And of course, how you project yourself, during that interview, what vision you have for your future. So these are some of the aspects that we look for. So these students become our brand ambassadors, and we expect them to represent India in Australia at Deakin. And of course, when they come back to the home country, then we expect them to represent,
Australia and
Deakin
Deakin.
and Australia here. Yeah.
Right. Does make sense. Does make sense. And that's good that, according to our parents, only study is important. But for 40% to academic and 60% to these activities, that's great. It will encourage a lot of students to participate into co-curricular activities. Now, again, in previous answer, you mentioned at why Deakin, you mentioned about Deakin talent. So what is Deakin talent and how is it impacting the careers for students who are enrolled over there?
A very relevant question, Shivali, I must say. So, I mentioned previously also that at our university, we would like to measure, in fact, we measure our success by our students' success, right? And our students only become successful if they get good jobs, right? So, during their studies, what Deakin does is Deakin prepares them for the future workforce, right? And Deakin talent is that dedicated vertical that looks after the employability aspects of our students. It is first of its kind facility by any university in Australia. And here, as I mentioned, the objective is to make international students employable and at par with the Australian workforce. Especially international students, Shefali, when they're coming to Australia, they really don't have, much knowledge, or you could say experience about how they should be portraying themselves. Even, I mean, just let's look at part-time job, right? Which is the first worry as soon as, our students get settled, at their residences, into their academics. Then the most thing they worry about is, their part-time jobs. Now, for part-time jobs in Australia, it is really important that the CV is written in an Australian format. Now, where do they go? So they go to Deakin Talent to learn how to write CV in an Australian format. Then, you have to market yourself to your employer, right? You have to project yourself that you possess those skills, right, that the employers are looking for, right? So it's a certain manner that you conduct yourself during your interview. So these nuances have to be understood, and how they are understood is by going to Deakin Talent, right? Not just preparing them, but we also have job shop where we post part-time jobs that come to university. So Deakin Talent is very well connected with the industry, and there are a lot of opportunity that comes through these connections, and they are put on job shop where students can go, they can search, and if they find a particular job of their liking, then they are encouraged to apply, go through the interview, and finally get a part-time job for us. Now, talking about full-time employment opportunities, now after you've completed your course, you must have a job. That's how you're going to measure your success, right? So here, it's very, very important that over a period of 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, the duration that you're required to spend, at Deakin, you gradually build your skills. So it's not technical skills, but also the soft skills that are really important when it comes to getting a full-time opportunity in Australia, right? So you prepare, and when you prepare, you need resources, right? And we at Deakin, we don't wait until student gets to complete the studies, right? We start from day one. So even when they are here, when they have kind of submitted their visa application and they're preparing themselves for this journey, we expose them to career success resources during their pre-departure. So it's a pre-departure program that we call it, right? And here we introduce them to Deakin Talent so that they understand what Deakin Talent will do, so that they have prior knowledge before arriving on campus, they know where they have to go and for what help they have to go for, right? Then we expose them to career resources. Then we do a lot of career workshops. There are a range of workshops to access hands-on support on campus or on cloud while they are with us. Now, we also do personalized career coaching. So there is one-on-one career coaching also available with Deakin Talent for international students. We help them, as I've mentioned before, that we help them with resume and job application review services. Now, this is something really important. So once you have the understanding how your CV has to be written, then of course you write your CV and then you go back to Deakin Talent to get your CV reviewed so that it can become the most attractive CV for the employer, right? So, and of course, there's job application also sometimes you have to write. In Australia. So it's really important that you have the right knowledge and you have the right support in terms of reviewing once you've prepared your resume and job application. Then, of course, we have talent development programs within Deakin Talent. Like I said, that soft skills are very, very important. So like public speaking, problem solving skills, communication skills. These are really, really important skills, right? And through talent development programs, we address these skills. We develop these skills in our international students. And of course, like I mentioned, that students could apply for jobs and internships through Deakin Talent. So there are opportunities and we post them on our job shop. And from there, the students can apply. And of course, last but not the least, we do conduct a lot of employer events, a lot of employment fairs where employers come. They don't offer jobs, but it's a great way of networking with them. It's a platform given to students where they could introduce themselves, they can build connections, and then eventually they can land up with a job for themselves. And trust me, all these services are for free and are available to Deakin graduates for life.
That's great. In fact, I was about to ask you, you mentioned one-on-one, consulting at Deakin Talent. With so many students around, how do you guys manage? And is there a criteria for a one-on-one, or anybody can come just walk in and then they can get, right guidance?
Anybody can walk in. So we at Deakin believe every student is unique in his or her own way. Right? So anybody can book an appointment and drop into our Deakin Talent Center and get one-on-one counseling or career coaching, advice from our career counselors.
That's great. That's great. It's a great initiative that you're empowering the students from day one. Like in pretty
much an award-winning service of Deakin. So like I mentioned previously, we are #1 in Australia for employability services.
Okay, then Deakin Talent is the point to go. Right, makes sense. Now I have another question related to the same career aspect. What are the highest paying degrees at Deakin University? If you can just give me ballpark numbers around some professions.
Well, see, typically a technical graduate with no experience may start with about 65,000 Australian dollars, which can even go up to about 90,000 to 100,000. If you are an experienced professional prior to doing this course. And in case of business graduates, it may range from Australian dollar 55,000 for freshers to up to about 80 to 90,000 Australian dollars, for people who have prior experience. So this is some ballpark to give you an indication as to what salary levels you can expect after you complete your course. So this just gives you an idea about the levels. And you asked me for the highest paying degrees. Of course, it's going to be medical, students joining medical courses. That's the highest paid degree at Deakin University. But then there are very few that get into medical courses. So therefore, I talked about the ones that are very, very popular. So technical, and then of course you have the business stream. So these are the salary ranges for both the streams.
Great, great. Thank you. And I didn't realize that we're almost near to closing of our session. I kept going on. So thank you so much for joining, Priyanka. But I have one last question before we end up our whole conversation. We have already talked about few factors. What are the factors to consider while settling in abroad? Now, what are the challenges in settling abroad or, adjusting to a new country? Are they same or there is some difference?
I think I briefly touched upon this earlier while answering one of your questions, but the most challenging part for international students are, first I would say that there is a difference in the way education is imparted in Australia, and for that matter, anywhere outside India. So here our students are very, very used to the spoon feeding way of education. They have to be reminded. So that's the first shock that they get. There's no reminder there. All you will get is a deadline from your professor. So understanding faculty expectation is very important, right? And how we address this at Deakin is we have a mentorship program where senior students guide junior students. They become mentors to the new incoming students, right? And they pass on their experience. They help them understand faculty expectation, how to prioritize, how to be on time, where to look for resources, so this actually helps them in the transition phase, right? So that's the first challenge that they have to overcome. The second challenge, which I think we've already spoken about, is when they come to Australia, they have to do a lot of things on their own, right? They have to juggle between so many things. They have to cook for themselves. They have to wash their clothes on their own. They have to make their beds, for that matter, every day. So here they all of them are with their families, and they live in luxury and comfort. Their families do things for mama, does everything for them. So there, that's the first shock that they get. And the other thing is that the part-time jobs that they have to do. So they have to manage their studies, they have to do part-time jobs, and then they have to also do their daily chores, right? Now, part-time jobs is something which is very new to them, right? It's a new concept. Our students are not exposed to part-time jobs here. So that's another shock, big shock that they get when they go there.
Right. So you need to be multitasking. You need to be independent in actual sense, not just saying, but you have to be independent in all course, right?
Totally. I mean, you have to be resilient. You have to be strong. So, when you come out of this grind, it really prepares you for the world, right? You are ready, right? Then you can handle everything. This actually builds life skills, I would say, in you. So every student must go through this experience. And, I sometimes when I'm interviewing Indian students, I do get to hear from them that, while doing their year 12th, they also picked up some internships. So I think things are changing, and things will change in India also for good. So it's one experience and exposure every student must go through, because it just builds life skills in you.
Right. It's like polishing you and making you a diamond. So
absolutely.
This is what happens when these things happen around you.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much, Priyanka, for joining us. Any quick wisdom words for the students who are traveling to Australia or any part of the country, just going for study abroad?
I think my advice would be just be yourself, go with an open mind, enjoy the experience, live the experience, and have fun. That's very important. While you're on this journey, it's really important for you to have fun.
Right. Very well mentioned. Thank you so much, Priyanka, for joining. So on this note, guys, I'll just again rephrase it. Have fun. Don't miss on anything. Be prepared. Go with an open mind. It's very important to grasp every experience that you get. Every experience is an experience. Now, good or bad, it's up to you how you make it. Right. So on this note, we'll close our session today. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you found it useful. Check out the links below for some of the valuable content for our student community. Looking forward to seeing you guys next Friday at 5 p.m. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Priyanka, for joining us.
Thank you, Shefali. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.